The Ashbringer is one of the most iconic weapons in Warcraft lore, and now that it is finally being sent off at the end of Legion, its story is practically complete. So, for that one person that doesn't really know, what is the Ashbringer? The Ashbringer is a weapon, a sword forged by Magni Bronzebeard, past king of Ironforge, at the behest of Cyan Dathrorand, leader of the Scarlet Crusade, for a man named Alexandros Mograine. The sword was created using a shadowy orb that was purged in holy light by the leaders of the Silver Hand, which was then used against the undead during the Scourge invasion of Lordaeron in the time after. The effectiveness of the blade garnered the attention of Mograine's companions, who deemed him and his new weapon as the Ashbringer for its ability to cut through the undead and leave nothing but ash in its wake. Eventually, Mograine would be deemed the High Lord of the Silver Hand after many failures of past leaders, and would lead the crumbling order to many victories across the Plaguelands. However, Mograine didn't only make a name for himself in the Silver Hand, but his deeds reached the ears of Kel'Thuzad, a lich under Arthas' command, who struck a deal with the nefarious Balnazzar, current occupant of Cyan Dathrorand's body and leader of the Scarlet Crusade. Together, Kel'Thuzad and Balnazzar corrupted the first son of Alexandros, named Renault, and used him to lure Mograine and his friend Fairbanks into Stratholme, where the two were ambushed by Kel'Thuzad's undead. Fairbanks was trapped under a pile of corpses during the battle, and Alexandros used his weapon to cut through thousands upon thousands of undead until he himself grew tired and ran out of breath, dropping his blade due to fatigue. It was in this moment that his son, Renault, came out of hiding and used the Ashbringer to slay his father. This action corrupted the blade. Eventually, Kel'Thuzad reclaimed the corpse of Alexandros, and with him the Ashbringer, making him into one of the original 4 horsemen of Naxxramas. Alexandros would serve the Scourge for many months after, until his second son, Darian Mograine, led a group of Argent Dawn into the necropolis of Naxxramas to slay his father and recover the Ashbringer. From this attack, Darian was the only survivor, but he did manage to reclaim the Ashbringer. With the corrupted blade in hand, Darian began hearing whispers of his father, who led his son to the Scarlet Monastery, and to his brother Renault. During the confrontation, Alexandros' spirit emerged from the Ashbringer and decapitated Renault for his betrayal in Stratholme, saving Darian from his brother's wrath. It was some time after this that Darian chose to sacrifice himself in an attempt to free his father's soul by stabbing himself with the Ashbringer. This effort did prove futile, however, and Darian was eventually risen as a Death Knight and promoted to High Lord of Acurus, another necropolis much like Naxxramas. Eventually, after Arthas' awakening, a new war against the living had begun. Arthas sent Darian and Acurus to the Plaguelands in hope of drawing Tyrion Fordring, one of the strongest paladins alive, out of hiding. During the battle for Light's Hope, the Ashbringer actively worked against Darian, which is possibly due to the holy ground Light's Hope stood on, which eventually led to Darian and the Death Knight's defeat at Light's Hope. But this battle did draw Tyrion out of hiding, as Arthas planned. However, as Arthas confronted Tyrion, Darian, who had realized that Arthas had betrayed them, tossed the Ashbringer to the old paladin and, upon his touch, purified it into a weapon capable of destroying the undead once more. Defeated, Arthas returned to Northrend and plotted once more as Tyrion unified the Argent Dawn and the Order of the Silver Hand as one into the Argent Crusade. He then led them into Northrend. To ensure Tyrion and the Blade would reach Northrend safely, the Argent Crusade sent the Ashbringer ahead of Tyrion via a man named Ares, however you say his name, the Oathbound. You're able to do that small questline in the Howling Fjord if you play Alliance. Just go to Valgard and you're able to do it. It's in the little crypt. It's a pretty nice questline. After, Tyrion led the Argent Crusade into Icecrown, and after a tournament, Chaos and Ulduar, and everyone got a group together, the Crusade assaulted Arthas' sanctuary of Icecrown Citadel. There, atop the frozen throne, Tyrion was able to shatter Frostmourne with the Ashbringer and halt Arthas' plans of using the world's greatest champions against the living for his own nefarious goals. With the Scourge in ruin and Bolvar atop the frozen throne, Tyrion departed for the Plaguelands, where he acted as wielder of the Ashbringer until Gul'dan, alternate Gul'dan, entered the tomb of Sargeras and initiated the third and final invasion of the Burning Legion. Once reports of the invasion were brought to Tyrion, he and the Argent Crusade sailed for the Broken Shore ahead of the Alliance and Horde and attempted to push back the demons. Sadly, they failed. Tyrion was captured and died of torture soon after, and the Ashbringer was recovered by a lone paladin who, in Tyrion's dying breath, was deemed the new Ashbringer. This lone paladin would go on to unite the various paladin factions of Azeroth under a reformed Silver Hand, and with the help of about 25 other people, they toppled the Legion from Suramar to the seat of the Pantheon, where Sargeras was imprisoned, but not before he struck the world with his blade, wounding the Titan spirit of Azeroth. Eventually, Magni, the speaker for Azeroth, would call these various champions who wielded the weapons of legend against the Burning Legion to use their artifacts on the wound. This action drew up the power of the sword into these various weapons, rendering them ultimately powerful for a time, until their power would diminish beyond saving. The Ashbringer was one of these weapons, and thus its story concludes. Thanks for watching.